I think this is truly a sign that, he has taken this responsibility from day one, and he's reached this point where, he doesn't necessarily want the responsibility anymore because it weighs so heavily upon him.
Mhm.
And I think Rick breaking, or what seems to be Rick breaking, is, I love it. I think it's one of the more interesting plot points. I'm really looking forward to see, because again, tying back to what we've been talking about, it makes way for a new leader. Just for the time being, it
Mhm.
makes way for people to step up and do what they have to do to make things right without having Rick there. And I love the idea. Now, is it is it cool that they did it with Laurie's ghost? Uh, Funny enough, from what I've read, from people I've spoken to, everyone hates the idea of Laurie's ghost. Me, I thought it was perfectly fine. I think it's a great way of doing it. It's an interesting way of having him break and having him go insane. So yeah, why not? Why
They
not?
already had her ghost talking to him on the phone, so why is
Yes.
anybody surprised?
Yeah, I think it was the whole image, which I thought was a brilliant shot, by the way. When they show her up there, stood on the balcony bit,
Mhm.
I thought it was a great shot. I genuinely, I was actually creeped out a little bit, and I don't get creeped out that easily, but I thought it was a really, really good shot. Just like how I protected my masculinity there and quickly said, I don't get creeped out earlier. But I thought it was a really, really good shot, and I liked it. I thought it was a very it's a fine idea because I'm sure it's not going to last a season. It's just a way. It's just a means to an end. It's just a way of
Right.
pushing him over the edge, and we finally get to see kind of what he's seeing. He's seeing this crazy stuff. He's talking to his dead wife on the phone. Now he's seeing her ghost. Let's make way for some changes. And
Right.
I thought it was a great way of ending the episode and pushing things forward.
Yeah. And I think it creates an amazing dynamic. Just what are they going to do and how are they going to handle someone who's coming unhinged, who is also their leader, and who, when they get better, is going to want to take that leadership role back. And how do you let the crazy guy back in the driver's seat? I think
Right.
that, that's a whole nother, bag of dying cats. I don't know where that came from, but that's a whole nother issue that they could explore. I mean, if they choose to. I just think I like it too. I had no problem with the Laurie's ghost. I don't think she's gonna be walking around talking to
No.
him like, being a muse in his ear. I don't think any of that's gonna happen. I think if she shows up again, it's gonna be brief, and they're gonna use it as a good tool and move on. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the way I see it. But yeah, his breakdown was an awesome scene. I really liked it. I just sort of wish that they hadn't shoot the people out, because now they're gonna tick off the two people who wanted to, sort of cause a ruckus anyway, and who knows what they're gonna do. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't think the people are going to go far. I think they're gonna stick around. I think it was just a way of bringing the drama a little bit, but yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens next episode with Rick kind of maybe hopefully stepping down a little bit and seeing someone else hopefully step up.
Yes, and with that, I will say who I think is going to step up. Besides Ty,
Okay.
I think just from what I've seen, there's the obvious, yeah, the Ty guy, and Glenn will have to do a little bit more, yada yada. But I'm telling you, Carl is awesome this season, and probably my favorite character overall, because my favorite character used to be, because I really just like the idea of Glenn and him being quick and being able to go on the runs and do this and that and the other. Even though they sort of messed him up last season with the whole romance thing, I hated that. But I always liked him. I always liked RV guy, even though I can't remember his name right now. So I always really liked that, and I hated Carl with a passion, and I just wanted him to fall into a ditch and get eaten by a zombie, and I wanted him to be dead instead of the little girl last season, whatever, just get rid of both the kids
Right.
and just be done with this element. But now I just think he just keeps surprising me. Like the fact that he, you know, is like he's thought really fast on his feet. I'm going to separate these people from my group. I'm even though I have to save them, he still has that humanity element going on. But he's just really toughened up, and I just like that a lot because I think that as sad as it is that he is still a kid, that's exactly what children should be like if they're going to be survivors. They have to be ruthless. And having my own two boys, I pray to God that they become like that a lot quicker than he did. Because he had too many close calls with death and being a little idiot for me to stomach. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's why I talk to my children about the zombie apocalypse all the time, so they'll be ready. They always have they're like, whoa, look at that escape route over there, Mom. Like, good job, son. Scout the room. He's like, we could get up on that roof and snipe. I'm like, yeah, all right. So, I like when the kids come into their own. So I'm really, 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 really enjoying his character this season.
Absolutely. I like Carl. I look forward to seeing him come into his own a little bit more, and perhaps not. I don't think he will not necessarily be a leader, but I think he'll be certainly a more forceful character. But personally, I don't really have anyone I'm backing too much at the moment. I think, as cliche as it is, and everyone says the same thing, I enjoy Michonne, but that's only because she's so different. I think she's different. She's a change of pace character wise. She doesn't use a gun, which I find interesting. Although, wouldn't it be great if next episode opens up and she's just cutting Carol's hair with a sword? I think I'd like to see where Michonne goes and have her step into the main group for the time being. But for now, I don't know. I'd like to see how the characters go. It's an interesting show in that I'm not backing anyone 100%. I like Daryl, but I'm fine with him leaving the group. I like Michonne, but I'd like to see it develop a little more. I actually like Rick, but I'm happy that he's breaking down and taking a step down. And I think that's what the show does. I think it does it with a purpose. I think it gives you this kind of culture of people, or this small group of people that are flawed. They are flawed. Nobody's perfect. They all have their strengths. They all have their weaknesses. And I like that I really don't... It's not that I don't care who comes and goes, but I'm willing to give one character up to see another character come in.
Exactly. I agree. I think that is exactly, and the writing is just really brilliant on that. Like, they do things and you're like, what are you doing? But then, and it all comes together. You're like, oh, okay, that was good. I'm glad you did that, even if I hated it when you did it. Like, I think that's one of the awesome things about this show is just the loops and the twists that they're able to do. And they sort of do it with just watch. Like, just don't give up on it, just watch. And then it all comes together and you're like, oh, I love it. That was awesome. So
right.
I really, really like that part about the show. As far as my most hated character, it's Andrea. I want her to die. I'm just done with her. Like, she is just so go be with Lori in heaven and the rest of them, and just don't, because I can just totally see her being either a Trojan horse or a Benedict Arnold to Rick's group. Like, she'll come back and they will accept her because she's not Merle. And she will have the governor in her ear and do something, even unintentionally, to sabotage, Rick's group because of just the nature of who she is right now.
Yeah. I think she can redeem herself, and in my eyes, the way she can redeem herself is she comes to the prison with the governor and his army or whoever he's bringing with them. She's on the governor's side, and then the governor goes to shoot someone, and she actually jumps in front of the bullet, and she dies. So that way she redeems herself, and she's dead, so everyone's happy.
Oh, please. I hope that you are a fortune teller, and you have told the future of Andrea, because that would be awesome. Of all the people who need to die, she can go out noble. I'll take it. She can go out noble like most of the other ones have.
Right. Yeah, I'd be happy to see her redeem herself in her final moments. I'm perfectly happy with that.
All right. So I think we've come to. I'm at the end of my points. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to talk about.
I had one final note. We can keep it short because, in theory, we could do probably a dozen podcasts on it. But it's in the grand scheme of things.
Okay.
And you being, I know you're a big zombie fan. You watch zombie movies. You know your
Yes.
zombies, right? And a lot of zombie films or zombie whatever books don't necessarily end well. They end fine. It usually involves the survivors going off in a helicopter and the zombies still roaming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question is, and I know this isn't specifically about this episode, and that's why we'll kind of keep it short, but should the show go on to have them focus more on why this is happening, do how to find a cure, and do you want to see an end, or do you just want to see this group of people and how they survive? It doesn't matter what happened and why it happened. You just want to see these people go on and survive the best they can. Which one? How would you prefer?
Oh my gosh, we totally will be doing a podcast about this at a later time. But in the scheme of this show,
Yes.
I can remember about I'm gonna say 2 or 3 months before the show, I wrote on my journal online that I would love to have a TV show that just follows survivors into infinity. And I felt like somebody heard me and said, "Okay, we'll do it with this show."
Ah, okay.
and,
Yeah.
and I can probably find it and show it to you. But the way I feel about it is this: as long as there are interesting stories to tell, and I would love to have them go on a journey for whatever reason, maybe even something to do with the baby.
Mm,
Maybe the baby is the catalyst for them trying to figure out what they can do or figure out what is the virus
right.
is, and all that whole storyline that you laid out. I think that would be awesome. I think that there's a lot that they could go into if they are able to do that traveling. Like, I think it would have to be at a point where a small group would have to leave and go on that journey. I don't think they could do it with the baby
Mm,
in tow and all that. I just don't think that's feasible, and I don't
nice.
think it's good for the story. Like, I really don't want to see them with a toddler in the middle of a blown up city killing zombies with a baby on their back. I mean, I'm sure that would happen, but I just don't want to see it. I
Agreed.
think it's just adding an element that doesn't need to be there. So I think if they were to go that route, it would definitely have to be with a small group that's their sole focus, and just leave the weak ones behind. As much as weak characters add an element to things, I think in a storyline like that, they could pick a couple up along the way, but they would need to leave the existing ones behind. But if they
Hmm.
just went on with other storylines, I don't know what they would be, but just other things, and the story went on that way, then I would be all for it. I don't think that there are going to be any helicopters to take them away.
Mm,
I think I sort of hate that element in some of the movies where, okay, the helicopter's going
right.
to save everyone because we're going to find an island, sort of like, or whatever they think they're going to do. That's one of the reasons why I always hated the end of zombie movies, because I'm like, I know something else happens. Something else happens. This is not the end for them. And if it is the end, they're dead.
Right. Right.
There's no utopia, because even if you found a way to have a safe place, there's still going to be so many dangerous elements left in the world that there's just no way that the story just ends that way. Which is why I'm such a fan and why I enjoy writing about it, because I want to explore the things that I never see in the movies,
Right. Right.
or that the books don't do for me
Yes.
that I've read. So I hope I answered your question, but like you said, I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, I mean it's such an open discussion, and it ties into what zombie films have the best endings, etc., etc. So that's a whole other box of tricks, I suppose. So yeah, yeah, but oh, absolutely, you
Whole
you
other
answered
bag
me.
of dying cats. I'm gonna
That's sorry,
stop.
yes, but definitely the dying cat.
Sorry, cat fans. I love cats. I have a cat. Anyway, are you still there?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. It got really, really quiet. I was like, oh no, did I
No,
cut off?
I was just listening to you talk about cats.
Okay. Yes, cats. They'll probably survive because they're so evil. No,
wouldn't be
just
surprised.
up in the trees and Anyway, enough about that. I think I have exhausted my points. I have really enjoyed having you with me on my talk. I hope that you join me again.
Oh, I'd love to. I would love to.
Because I think you have some very valid and different views on things, which helps me to really enjoy the show more. Because the more that I see other people's views, the more I say, "Oh yeah, that could be that," and it just makes it almost like so many different stories are being told out of one show. So I really like that, and so I'm thank you for talking with me.
Oh, no problem. It's
And
been an absolute pleasure.
yes, and we will do it again. And I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to anybody listening. I hope that you have enjoyed, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye bye.
You have just listened to the podcast without a name. I am Chaotic Dream 715. I was joined by Shaun. I hope that you enjoyed. Please leave any comments or feedback in any appropriate spaces, or you can send me an email at chaoticdream715@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. I hope you come back and listen to our podcast again. Thank you so much. Talk to you next time.